Trina, my brother's current wife, well, hopefully only wife, um, when they, when
His
they,
first wife.
his first wife, hopefully last, they're about to have a baby.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I'm Rachel,
I'm Hannah.
and this is the You Talking to Me podcast. And today we will be reviewing Mistletoe and Menorahs. Hannah, do you got that recap for us?
I sure do. Mistletoe and Menorahs is a movie that brings you both Hanukkah and Christmas. The story focuses on Christy, who is an executive at a toy company. She gets invited to a holiday party that she finds out will be celebrating Hanukkah. Christy doesn't know anything about Hanukkah, but her friend's kid has a teacher who is Jewish and willing to help teach her in exchange for Christy teaching him about Christmas. Can they learn about the other's holiday in 8 days? We find out. But the most important thing is that they both are reminded how important it is to stay true to your beliefs and to spend time with the people you love.
Okay, so this movie is not a Hallmark movie, but of like the same vein of a Hallmark movie with like the classic structure and, everything you expect with the happy ending and all of that. Except I think this goes like a little bit of a step further in terms of like, I don't know, you actually like learn stuff along the way and it's not just like surface level type of things, whereas in Hallmark movies, yes, the chemistry might be there or, the circumstances are perfect, but it's not so cut and dry, I would say. I mean, like it's obvious that they're going to end up together, duh. But it's not so obvious in the way of like how they get there, I guess. Since I mean, big twist, both of them are in pretty serious relationships at the beginning of this movie. Which will bring me to a point in a minute. But I think this one is just like slightly better than just classic Hallmark movies. And I mean, I just say that in general, but like it's also one of my favorite holiday movies I've ever seen now in the history of ever. So like I couldn't stop smiling watching this film. I do know that Hannah maybe has like a little bit of an opinion. There's a rumor. I don't know. I'm ready to hear it.
Hannah having an opinion? What? I never. Okay. I don't like Hallmark movies. I am the exact opposite of my mom. I really, really don't like them at all. I don't know what it is about them, but I just don't. I think maybe it's just too predictable, and I don't like that. I will say that this movie was definitely better than a Hallmark movie. Um, I'm not sure exactly why I liked it more than a Hallmark movie, but I did. But I don't like the beginning. I told Rachel that to me, it felt like there was a different director for the first half and for the second half, because the first half of the movie, I like really did not like. I was about to stop watching it. Like I was like, I can't watch this. It's so bad. It's so bad. I don't know if it was the shots that they were getting, but it was definitely the acting too. Like I felt like it was the most acted out thing I've ever seen. Like it did not feel natural at all. It felt super forced to me. And the beginning kind of just seemed super predictable, I guess. In the second half is where the acting seemed to get better. There was less predictability, even though like you could predict certain things that were going to happen. And I just felt like it was more beautiful towards the end too. I don't know. Like I really felt like the first half and the second half didn't match up. Did you feel that way at all?
No, I was worried that when you had told me that the second half was gonna just plummet because I was obsessed with the beginning. But I will say that the acting suffered to an extent until the two love interests like meet up with each other. That was where I thought it kind of got better. because I thought the two of them played off each other so well. Their chemistry was unbeatable. I literally could not stop smiling if I just saw them on the camera screen or on the screen together. I was obsessed with them. I also, there's a little part of me that like probably would have been obsessed anyway, because the main guy, the guy who plays Jonathan, is an old Degrassi actor from like season 1 of Degrassi Next Generation. We have, for any of you watching, Craig Manning, who iconic, but Jake Epstein plays him. And when I literally picked this movie, right? I saw the poster, didn't even realize it was him until I see on my screen flash across Jake Epstein, and I went, hold the phone. Craig Manning is one of the most iconic characters in this series, and he does not play anyone even remotely close to who he plays in Degrassi, but just having him on my screen was joyous. And I kind of liked that both him and Christy, like, while they're like good looking, I would say that they don't fall under the
Super average, right?
yeah, I was gonna say, like, though, that they don't fall under the Hallmark like hot people, I don't know, stereotype, because Jake Epstein I wouldn't say is like the hot guy, but I think is like, he's not ugly at all, but like his personality and everything just like makes him like way more attractive than any of the other people that could have been in this movie.
Yes, personality is a big thing. I was just telling my mom the other day that someone can like literally be the hottest person you've ever seen, and then they start talking and you're like, wow, you are ugly. Because personality is a big thing. Obviously, it gets important to find someone physically attractive if you want to be with them, but if they got a shitty personality, then no.
I mean,
And I
like,
will say his personality is good.
yeah, and going off of like the chite personality, which I love, I'm obsessed with that now. Can we talk about Christy's current boyfriend, Peter? I'm sorry,
I need to
but
see where I wrote down about him.
like my
Where
thing
I
is,
wrote something.
why was she in a relationship with him for so long? Like, she can't, I guess you could have
Oh,
been like blinded by it for that long, but he really was masking his a-holeness.
yeah, I wrote down, I guess, straight cut. I just wrote boyfriend is an ass. I don't like him. And so the other day I heard someone say something. They just got out of a toxic relationship and they were saying that sometimes when you're in a toxic relationship, that person makes you feel like it's your fault for everything that's happening, or like you're the person causing the problems in the relationship. And I wonder if that's how she felt, or I don't know. Both of their relationships are a really good example of people want to settle sometimes. Like they're just like, oh, well, I'm 30. I should be getting married. I'm with this person. Let me just get married to them. But it shows that you shouldn't settle and you deserve to be happy and to have all your boxes checked, because I don't like it. He is trying to skip holidays to go watch games with his guy friends, and he's like doesn't care about her at all. He comes over to her house when you assume that he's like trying to be nice, bring her dinner and like bring her a coffee because she's gonna be up working, and then he's like, oh yeah, the cable stopped working, so I can't watch the game at my place, so I'm
Like,
just gonna watch the game here.
just ask. Like, if he had just been like, hey babe, the cable's out at my place, can I please come watch the game? There's a chance she would have said yes. I know she's working late, but also like bars exist. Like, go watch at a bar. I don't know. Yeah, he comes across as like this nice guy. And I didn't like him at first because the first time we meet him, he's like working out while she's like telling him like this great news or whatever. And I'm like, okay, but he could just be a gym rat, like whatever, you know. But I was like, okay, vibes off, doesn't pass the vibe check. And then he comes over and he like brought her dinner. He had a coffee for her. And I was like, okay, maybe he is actually sweet. And I just like judged him too soon. And then he turns on the freaking game and was like, oh yeah, the cable's out of my place. Like, you came over here under the guise of, we're gonna hang out, babe, and I care about you, and I bet you're hungry after working so hard, and then gets her a coffee that she doesn't even like, and was like, bro, you are just being a jerk. You are just being selfish. You are a self-centered brat.
Yeah, and like Christy had been set up with her work stuff in the living room on the coffee table in front of her couch, and he like comes in and takes over the couch and has the game going loud. So she has to move all of her stuff and is like working at the dining room table all by herself while this game is blaring in the background. And I know he's just really inconsiderate and rude, and he lies to her, which is not a good sign, obviously. And at one point, the dad says something like, I don't remember the boyfriend's name because he's not important enough to remember his name, but the dad says something like, oh, is he working out or is there sports on? And Christy was like, probably both. And he was like, yeah, probably both, because the dad knows how predictable this is. And so I guess I wonder if the parents too had said something to her before and she's ignoring it, or if they were just trying to let her figure that out all by herself.
Yeah, which I mean, I think is fair because I don't know. My parents said that they did that with my high school boyfriend, was like, she'll figure it out, in the end, like if I was like about to be getting married, I'm sure they would have stepped in and been like, maybe rethink this just a minute. But, they let that play out and just see what happens. Because with some kids, if you tell them all the things that you hate about like the person that they are with, they're just gonna like double down, right? Or like get worse.
That would have been me. Mom, I know you're listening to that and you see that. Like, for sure, if I brought someone home in high school and my parents didn't like them and they told me that, oh, I would have made it a point to be with that person as long as I could have.
You'd
Because
have been like, we're getting married now, actually.
yeah, I'd be like, yeah, we're getting
Well,
married.
and then Jonathan's girlfriend is less so like, she's bad in a different way than Peter is. So she's also kind of selfish, but I mean, I can understand you're meeting the parents for the first time. You want your significant other to like get Christmas right because it means a lot to your family. I get that totally. But when he brings Christy out to a restaurant with him and Heather to teach her about some of the foods that they eat, she's has latkes and these jelly donuts that are called, I wrote it down,
Vignette.
Safignat. Yeah.
Yeah, so just so you guys know, if I pronounce these things differently, I work for someone who is Jewish, so I do know about Jewish stuff, but she does pronounce things differently. Like she calls them latkes instead of latkes, and it's souffignet instead of saufignet or whatever. So obviously there's different pronunciations of things, but
Yeah. And so they're at the restaurant and they're eating. And right before Christy is going to eat her latke, Jonathan is like, oh no, you have to try it with sour cream. Like, it's so amazing. And Heather's like, isn't this religion like so random? And like things like that. And like had said that again. And then there was some, maybe it was for the latkes where she says it again that it's so random. And Jonathan's like, no, it's just traditional, like kind of trying to defend himself, but like not taking a lot of offense outwardly about it. But she'll say things like that as if Christmas isn't freaking random. You know what I mean? Like, just like the non-religious versions of the traditions of like Christmas caroling and like you go and build gingerbread houses. Like, what does any of, like, you know what I mean? Like, how random does that sound? If you have no idea about anything Christmas related, you put up a tree in your house. Like, that's weird. Like, you know what I mean?
you let a man come down a chimney into your house.
Right, like there are
Weird.
weird things about every tradition, every holiday, every religion. So it's just because you're not used to it and it's different from what you believe in and what you know. And I don't know, I was glad when he told Christy that she broke up with him. Apparently they were moving too fast or something. And I think she knew that it wasn't going to be a forever thing. But when Christy and Heather met up at the coffee shop, I think it was, and Christy was like, oh yeah, everyone's going to love Jonathan, when they meet him, like, your dad is gonna be obsessed, like, gonna love him, and that put Heather in like a frenzy of like, oh god, I don't want that, because it's gonna be harder to break up with him later, you know. So I think she just wanted the perfect boyfriend to like bring home to her parents for the holidays or something. I don't know.
She needed a holiday.
She needed to find one of them.
But okay, speaking of the food and that boyfriend, so Christy makes latkes, whatever you want to call them, homemade, and then she's trying to have him eat them, and he just like disregards it. And he's like, ew, like gross, I'm not gonna eat that. And then at a different point at a restaurant, he's talking about how he's trying to eat keto, which honestly, that, well, I guess maybe not exactly, it wouldn't fall under keto because there's still carbs. But then at a whole different part of the movie, he's making this giant smoothie. I mean, the biggest smoothie you've ever seen, which is just loaded up with fruits and vegetables, which is the exact opposite of keto, because that is all carbs, honey. All carbs. I mean, there's some protein, but keto is like just fat and protein. But so he isn't even following his own rules. I don't know. But
He is so annoying. Like, I am shocked. Like, when I see people in this type of relationship in movies, I'm just questioning, like, how did you get to this point? You know, and like maybe it was meeting Jonathan that really showed her, like, oh wait, I can be with someone who's kind and sweet and nice and, you know, not an a-hole. Weird, weird. Or like, I wish sometimes these films, I think Heather's a better example of it because she's not obviously horrible, right? Like, she's particular and she has some like snide comments that people can and should take offense to if, you know, someone's degrading your traditions and stuff like that. But it's not like she is like anti-Semitic, you know, like she's not coming across as like this horrible person. She's just toxic in a different way, which I like the nuance of it better, you know, than Peter. But we kind of need both, because if both of them were like just a little off, we wouldn't be like rooting for them to break up so drastically. I just wish sometimes these movies would go more with the Heather type of significant other.
one thing that's interesting is that Christy goes to, well, I don't know what it's called. I can't remember, but it's the store that Jonathan's grandma owns. It's a Hanukkah store. And when Jonathan brings Christy in there, like the grandma's saying, oh, is this the girlfriend or whatever? And obviously, if it's serious enough that you're going home for the holidays with someone, like you would think you would have met the family by now. I don't know. Like, I don't assume, well, I guess the dad was going to be meeting him for the first time. That seems so terrible. Like, I don't know. The first time meeting someone, Katrina, my brother's current wife, well, hopefully only wife, when they, when
His
they,
first wife.
yeah, his first wife, hopefully last, they're about to have a baby. When I guess she met like the majority of the family, it was on Thanksgiving, but it wasn't like that was the first time she met the parents. So I don't know, like
Where
meeting
is
the
the
parents for
dad
the first time.
from? Like,
Yeah.
is he from out of town? Because that would make sense. Because I mean, Jack didn't meet my parents for a long time only because they live in North Dakota and we're in Georgia, but they still didn't meet like on Christmas. You know what I mean?
But
Like,
did you guys ever like call your parents and like they talked to
a
him
couple
before
of
they met?
times, but not a lot. Maybe like twice, you know.
Yeah,
Weird.
I guess.
But they came over for right before graduation and like finally met like in person. So no, it wasn't the holiday though. I've even like met a lot of, you know, Jack's siblings and stuff before that, you know, and before any holidays. So very weird that unless he lives like states away, there's no excuse. You know what I mean?
Right. But for Jonathan's girlfriend, Heather, she clearly like lives where he is and the grandma lives there too. So I don't understand why they haven't met.
Yeah, that was weird. I love Tova though. That's the Tova is the grandma. She's so sweet. She's just like crazy and like the I don't know. She's the grandma and she is just like obsessed with Jonathan and like knows what's best for him, doesn't take any crap. You know what I mean? Like she's amazing. Like the type of person you want in your family that doesn't like sugarcoat anything. Like lets him make his own decisions, but like will kind of insert herself a little bit and be like, "Oh, this is the girlfriend, I hope." You know, like saying that like multiple times.
Can we talk about Christy and Jonathan's first meeting though? Okay, so they meet for the first time in a coffee shop, and Christy's ordering her coffee drink that she likes, which is like a pumpkin spice latte, cold brew, hot, 120 degrees, no whipped cream. I mean, it's a long order.
It's very, very specific, is how I would say it.
It's like half pumped for, I don't remember it, but he makes a point to say something like, oh, well, like some of us have places to be, like, you're definitely getting extra whipped cream on that. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, you're definitely getting extra whipped cream on that, implying that her order was too much or too extra, which I am a believer that if you go somewhere and you're ordering something, you should get exactly what you want because you are paying for what you are ordering. And, you know, that's just how it is. So that was rude of him to say that. And then we find out like 10 seconds later that he's the teacher and that so they're not getting along. And I don't know, like that to me was like the worst acting.
I
It's
loved
dumb.
it. It was the classic bad first impression in any movie. But I loved it because they were like, nope, we're both leaving. We're not gonna be here. I thought that was hilarious. And then there's like the apology muffin or whatever, and she like wouldn't apologize back to him, which I mean, I don't know. She was rude, I guess, like back, but he kind of started it. So that was funny. I thought it was just funny and cute and like fits the trope of the type of movie that it's being. So that's what I loved.
The funny thing is, before they made that be a point that that was like a extra drink order or like a big drink order, the first time she ordered it, I wrote down coffee order hella extra. I was like, that is like, wow. Also,
Although
can we please talk about, so she does an advent calendar. She's eating candy in the morning. She doesn't even brush her teeth in the morning. I hate that so
she
much.
might brush her
Why?
teeth in the morning after she eats the chocolate.
Yeah, but why not before? I don't get not brushing your teeth before you eat something in the morning because, well, I use a tongue scraper too. It gets out the bacteria.
Oh,
You
cute.
overnight, the bacteria is coming out of your body onto your tongue. Okay.
That's
So
fine, but you're
if you drink something, you're just eating that bacteria right
yeah, but
back
my immune
into your
system's
body.
really good. So
Ugh.
here, no,
I
here's
can't.
why you're wrong, Hannah.
Ugh.
You brush your teeth and then you put stuff in your mouth, which is like just dirtying your mouth again.
It's not bacteria.
But it's like makes your teeth feel gross and you're tasting the toothpaste and everything.
Actually, I don't because I drink a bunch of water before I brush my teeth. I drink 32 ounces of
That's
water and then I
also
have
bad.
breakfast.
You're not supposed to rinse and you're not supposed to have water for a little while after you brush your teeth because all the stuff that the cleaning isn't the brushing part. Did you know that? People listening.
Mhm.
The brushing part is just like getting stuff off and out of the crevices. And then the toothpaste is supposed to like don't have
It's the
like the
fluoride.
toothpaste sitting on your teeth. Obviously you can spit and stuff like that. I do that. Please don't keep everything in your mouth. That's disgusting. But the people who like rinse afterward, like that's actually bad for your teeth because the fluoride and stuff is supposed to like activate for a couple minutes like after you're done
Which
brushing your
is true,
teeth.
but not everyone uses fluoride toothpaste because one, there is fluoride in your tap water. So it depends on your teeth. And two, also, I brush my teeth before and after breakfast. I'm one of those. Got to get all the bacteria out from overnight out of your mouth so you're not eating it because once I already stated you. And then after you have your breakfast, then you got to clean your teeth and then you don't have water for a while. So your toothpaste works. It's the best of both worlds.
How many times a day do you brush your teeth?
3.
Okay, that's not that bad. I was gonna say there are people who brush their teeth like 6 times a day, and that's actually like way worse for your teeth than like anything than like not brushing every day. You know what I mean? Like if you brush your teeth every other day, it's better than brushing your teeth like 6 to 10 times a day, because you're like degrading your teeth. Like the stuff can be
that's true.
harmful. That's what it is. Like you're gonna have degrading teeth either way, but it's better than like self-inflicted.
Well, and I would say that mine's technically twice because my toothbrush has a timer that's 2 minutes. And before breakfast, I brush them for 1 minute. And after breakfast, I brush it for one. So that's technically once.
The timer?
Yeah, I have a sonic hair. So like after 30 seconds, it goes, and so you're supposed to switch from the back side of your teeth to the front side of your bottom teeth to the back side of your front to the front of your front or top. And so it's 30, 30, 30, 30. So before breakfast, I do 1 minute. After breakfast, I do 1 minute. And then at night, I do the full 2 minutes. So it's really the 4 minutes I'm supposed to do every day.
It's still questionable. It's questionable.
As questionable as eating food before you brush your teeth. I hate that.
Yeah, but you're also like the scaredest of germs.
No, that's not germ. It's like literally, look it up. Your body overnight, the bacteria your body wants to get rid of so that you're like not gonna get sick or whatever is in your tongue. Okay, so I don't care if you don't brush your teeth. At least use a tongue scraper before you eat. Get the bacteria off your tongue and then go eat. Go.
I will
have a
say
fun time.
Hannah's blog got me to buy those tongue scrapers. I will say I have been influenced. Hannah's an influencer.
I can't help it, So just try that and then see, because bad breath is not your teeth, it's your tongue and the bacteria in your tongue. So,
and bad breath sometimes is not your fault. It can be an infection. And if you have chronic bad breath, please go get that checked out by like a dentist or a doctor, depending on.
Or it could be medication you're taking as well.
Yeah, that dries out your mouth.
And that is Dental Hygiene 101 from Rachel and Hannah. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Don't forget to floss since we're talking about it.
We're professionals. Although her advent calendar is like extra, like that had to have cost $100 or more. Like it is like a homemade or handmade wooden box, like with drawers, and she's got these like cute little things that she hangs up on them to like remind her of what's going on. It's like her own planner even. Like it's crazy. I have like one of those little paper ones that Jack's family gave me that, you just open the doors. There's not candy in it, which I was like, rude. Just kidding. But it's cute and I like it's hanging up in my room right now. So
here's my advent calendar.
Oh my gosh. Hannah, where'd you get it?
This place called Non-Existent.
Oh my gosh, sounds super bougie.
It is.
Can't even imagine how much that cost. For people who are just listening and not watching, Hannah's just waving at thin air. There's nothing there.
I think I had one as a kid growing up.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I feel like ours had drawers, but I could just be completely having an aneurysm or something too, and I'm just remembering wrong. But for some reason, I feel like I remember something with drawers.
With this like lesson teaching that happened with Jonathan and Christy, there were times that they noticed that they had very similar reasons for their traditions, like giving gifts for specific reasons or helping out in the community. Like one of it was Jonathan was selling like fruitcake and other types of desserts at this place called Tinseltown for his history class. I don't know if they like go on a trip or something, but they fundraise for whatever reason. And Christy was actually going to like suggest some sort of volunteering thing as well, giving back to the community, because that's a huge part of holidays. And another one was like spending time with your loved ones, but I don't remember like what exactly it was that they were doing in the film. I was too busy just gushing about how much I loved it that I wasn't paying attention to a lot of the specifics. So sorry. But my favorite thing was every night they would light the menorah at sundown. And it was really sweet because she was also speaking in Hebrew while she was doing it. And he would like gently correct her on a pronunciation, and it was just like very sweet and gentle and kind, and just it you could tell the like bonding experience there. I don't know, it was like a really deep moment there that I thought was sweeter than almost any of the other things that they did. Just her, you know, getting more and more confident as she lit the candles and was saying the phrases and stuff that you have to. It was so cute. I loved
I
it.
really like how open they are to learning about the others' holiday and
Mhm.
traditions and not viewing it as something that's weird, but they like genuinely want to know what's happening. And that is one of those things, lighting the menorah. And there's 8 days of Hanukkah, if you don't know. And you light the 8 days candles with the helper candle, known as the shamash. And that one's in the middle. And you start on the right side of the menorah, and then you light one every night. And you do it after sundown because the holidays for all Jewish holidays actually start at sundown the night before the holiday. So that is a cool little fact. To me, I really liked this movie that has Hanukkah in it because I get to work with a family who is Jewish, and they're Jewish and Christian actually. So they celebrate what they call Christmaka. And maybe Christy and Jonathan, when they get married and have children, will have Christmaka with their kids. But I just really liked seeing it in a movie because I have to imagine the person I work for growing up, there probably weren't really movies about Hanukkah. I mean, I don't know. This is the first movie I've seen about Hanukkah or heard about Hanukkah. So I can't imagine that there's a whole lot, but I do know there's lots of Christmas movies. And it seemed like Jonathan had seen Christmas movies before. So, obviously, even though he's Jewish, he's seen Christmas movies and knew some about Christmas. But Christy literally had no clue about Hanukkah. And I feel like sometimes in America, if it's not Christian, then it gets thrown behind, or like it's not as important. If you're not white and Christian, then what are you doing? you know?
Yeah, peace out. No, it definitely had that is definitely the vibe I feel. And it's like Hallmark could make a ton of Hanukkah movies and people would watch them if they just followed the same dumb structure of like falling in love at a stupid time and like you're going back to your old hometown. Like Hanukkah and Christmas both have like hardcore traditions, and people think that they have to like include like, oh, we went to Israel and like all this stuff. Like you don't need to include that stuff because not everyone who celebrates Hanukkah is like super traditional and hardcore, in their beliefs, just like everyone who celebrates Christmas isn't like that either, of like we have to go to midnight mass and we have to, do all of these things. Like that is not a thing that everyone does. So just like learn about it, and like I said, just follow the structure of a Hallmark movie. People will eat it up, just like I did with this movie. And I loved learning about the stuff along the way. Like when they talked about why it's 8 days, it wasn't a romantic moment. It wasn't like a funny moment. Like it was just serious, like just him telling Christy about the reason behind it. And it was like a little history lesson. It was wonderful. And I loved the moment in general. It just felt so honest and real. And I needed it, like in that movie.
Yeah, I like the learning aspect in it, and how you said that it's not like a special moment or whatever. It just like is literally for learning. And as I already said, I like learning more or just seeing it in the movie because it's fun to me too. Because at the same time, I've been able to teach the little girl I nanny because we read Hanukkah books that she has. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like this is that. And to me, for me to be able to see it in a movie to be like, oh yeah, like that is how this happens. Or yes, the Maccabees come and then they have the oil for the candle and it was supposed to last 1 day, but it lasted 8 and it was a miracle. And even though that wasn't my holiday growing up, it's still been really cool watching it. And then I've been living it with a child, and currently tonight will actually be the start of the 8th day of Hanukkah or 8th night of Hanukkah in real time, not when you're listening to this or watching it, but today, the day we're recording. So it was just cool that it lined up at the same time, too. Can we talk about Christmas traditions they're talking about, which I'd say most of them are true, but for fruitcake?
Some people still do that. Okay, I will say, my roommate, he's from India, and they call it like plum cake, I think, but it's just the same thing, or it's very, very, very similar.
What is it?
But it's
I'm
just,
looking it up. They made it seem like it was a very, very traditional thing. And
it is in all of the
I have
holiday
never
movies.
once encountered a fruitcake in my life.
They're like, it's just like dried fruit in a cake, and it's kind of like bready. Like, it's not like a sugary cake, you know what I mean, that you would have for your birthday. It's like banana bread, I feel like, but with fruit in it, right?
Well, it says fruitcake is cake made with candied or dried fruit, nuts, and spices, but it's in the United Kingdom, I guess, normally. Or certain versions may be iced and decorated. But this fruitcake that I'm seeing a picture of, it has like red and green gels in it. And
Let me see.
I don't know, like, like it doesn't look appetizing. Is that the thing that everyone says is like super heavy?
Probably.
Is that what those are?
Yeah, I think it's because it's
Like
not,
people make a
and
joke.
I think because I watched the Great British Bake Off or Baking Show or whatever it's called, but it's one of those Mandela effect things. And I think you need a heavier cake in order to like hold the fruit and stuff like that. So that's why it's not like a light birthday cake that you'd normally get, because otherwise all of the stuff would just sink to the bottom. So that's probably why it's dense. And if people make it improperly, it's going to be nasty.
That makes sense. But if we're being honest, I didn't ever like cake, so I just can't imagine that a fruit cake that's more dense I would enjoy. So I don't know. Yeah, I never was a cake eater.
Can we talk about the night they were wrapping presents?
Oh yeah.
Because that is the best part of every Hallmark movie, or, romantic holiday movie, is the almost kiss, which, oh my gosh, I literally was like on the edge of my seat, like my heart was fluttering. It was like I was about to have my first kiss, like type of moment. Like they just hit it so perfectly. I loved it so much because here's why I think I love these people so much. They're both very positive, and I have recently realized that I hate shows where there's like a lot of like negative Nancy's in it. If you've seen Ted Lasso, people, you will understand that show. They have like grumpy people, but it's still just like a positive show where like almost everyone is happy all the freaking time, or like supportive of one another. And it's just so good. So that's why I think I like Christy and Jonathan so much, because they're both like very positive and supportive people, which I know I need in my life, because you don't want to be surrounded by people who are always Debbie Downers. Otherwise, you're going to get that energy and it's going to be toxic and ruminate, and it's going to be awful. So I think that's one of the reasons I loved it so much, because while it did seem like the perfect relationship, and like, no, is that ever going to happen where it comes across exactly like Jonathan and Christy's relationship? No, they're going to have a fight. They're going to disagree about something. But I think I just needed to see like, oh yeah, positive like relationships happen on TV or happen on movies and stuff like that, because you don't always see that. And I know it's because it's more realistic, but sometimes you do need that like suspension of disbelief.
No, I agree. And I don't, but it also felt like awkward because at this point they were both dating someone. So I was like, no, no, no. And okay, so when Christy goes to his place and he's just been dumped, and she walks in and like she doesn't even notice how he's like wrapped inside of a blanket. And then she does come in and then she's like, wait, is something wrong? And he's like, I've been dumped, or I don't remember what he said, but that part was funny. Another part that I thought was funny was when he had parsley hanging from the ceiling instead of mistletoe, and you think they're gonna kiss, but then she's like, just for future reference, that's parsley, not mistletoe. And then she walks away and she's like, let's go to a party.
That was
And
comedy gold.
right.
But
And
also, she invites him to her family Christmas Eve dinner, which, by the way, is required, no exceptions. And friggin' Peter's like, I can't make it. Shut up, Peter. You can make it. Get off of this freaking high horse of, oh, the holidays, I don't like them. Then get out. Then leave, Peter. The door is right there. Just go. I hated that. Like, it's important to your family or like your potential like future family. And it's like, okay, I understand if they were like sacrificing a freaking goat, like you're like, then that's important to them. Maybe that's not for me. And I got, a work dinner to go to, that night. I understand. It's freaking Christmas Eve. You have dinner, you've got games, there's like apparently a white elephant type gift exchange. Like it's not that hard. Just put up with it. It's not like they're making you go to church or whatever things like you don't agree with. He's just grumpy.
I'm sorry, I keep getting distracted because there's this little tiny bird. Overnight, we got about 6 inches of snow, and it's like really fluffy snow. And there's this little tiny bird that is like taking a quote unquote bath in the snow, and it comes and lands in it and starts fluffing it around. Like, you're so cute.
That's so fun.
Oh.
I wish that
But
was
yes, if your future family has something that's important to them, try to appreciate that. And if you feel like you can't do that, then maybe that family and that person's not for you. Maybe that's like a really clear-cut sign that that's not for you. Or if you feel like you have to change your partner and set up a friggin' job interview for them because you think that that's the job for them, maybe that's not the person for you.
Oh my gosh, that was so annoying. It's like, how excited she is for this pitch at the toy company. And he's like, you need to get that promotion so you can leave. It's like, but that made no sense. I don't know who these writers were, what they were thinking, because if I got a promotion and then like left to go to another company, like they know that I'm only gonna have that promotion for one day. Like I haven't actually done anything in that leadership position. Yes, I've proven myself to be able to have that position or earn it, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be good in that position. I don't understand. And then it's like for some like bank. Oh, want to work at this bank so we can be rich, dear? No.
Yeah, and then he always is saying how like no one's sorry, the bird's back. No one's happy in their jobs, and like it's all about money basically. And she's like, well, can't we like live our life right now or something? He's like, babe, that's so dumb. Like obviously we're not even gonna start living our life till the future, which that is just this whole weird ass concept some people have of like, oh, in the future I'll do this, in the future I'll do that. Guess what? Your time is right now. You're not guaranteed the future. So all the time you have is current time. And if you're unhappy in this moment, like change something now and do things now. Don't be like, when I retire, I'll go travel. Travel now.
Yeah, and it's like all these people, it seems to be like businessy people too that have this mindset of like, if it's for like 1 or 2 years, I can understand like the grind. But then like hopefully you get to a place that you like. But it shouldn't be like, oh yeah, after 45 years of grinding I'll be retired and rich. It's like, but will you be happy by the time you're rich and retired? Like you're gonna want to like freaking bang your head against a wall every single day. Is it worth it? I don't think so. That's why, don't stay at a job longer than you feel is like necessary or you feel is like good for you, because it's just gonna harm you more than help you.
Yeah, and you'll regret it. Anyway, I feel like we've went off on a lot of spiels in this movie. We didn't even touch on everything, but honestly, I think everyone should go watch it. It's a good movie. If you're like me and you're watching it in the beginning and you think the first half is just not great, just like listen to me, wait for the halfway point. It gets better. It's on Tubi TV, which is a free
Yeah.
app. You don't even have to create an account, which
I'll
I like.
include the link in the description of the videos or the podcast so that you can find it, because I don't know. I don't understand like how to get through Tubi TV. I just like Googled holiday movies and it came up and I clicked on it and it was a free link and I was like, holla.
Yeah, if you have Fire Stick TV, I have one of those, and I just downloaded the Tubi app on that, and then I looked up Mistletoe and Menorahs, and there it was. It's as simple as that. You will have to watch ads, so sorry, but who cares?
It's worth it.
Otherwise, though, I say if you want to find out a few extra details about that movie, you should go watch it yourself because the ending's especially good.
Yes. I will say they kiss anyway. It's so good.
They do.
I maybe screamed. Just don't worry about it.
I was like, but
was
that's
so
my
happy
pretty
for
standard
that.
reaction. So
I just love Anna.
when I see straights, I don't know, I can't help it. I'm like,
You're like, ugh, cringe. Oh God. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. They can't help the way they were born. They can't help it.
I can't help it.
Anyway, so I will go through our social media real quick before we bounce out of here. So if you want to email us suggestions for future months, look, we may have January kind of planned out, but we ain't got February and beyond. So please give us suggestions for themes you are like dying for us to watch. It could be anything crazy. It could be another rom-com thing. Like, I don't care. Just give us something. Like, we will go off. Okay. So email us at youtalkingtomepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on the Instagram at youtalkingtome.podcast, where we post what we're watching, our lives, and also our Instagram lives. I mean, we do post about our lives, so that's kind of like what that sounded like. Ignore that section. Follow us on Twitter at youtalkingtome11 because we're both number one. And subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, rate us 5 stars or whatever the highest is on all the other podcast sites. Comment anything that you like or dislike or want us to try. So that is all. So with that, I'm Rachel.
I'm Hannah.
And this was the You Talking to Me podcast. Bye.